Hi there, in this video we're going to go over the difference between STX Cloud and STX Desktop when it comes to setting up services and customizing them for workers. So in STX Desktop you would have had setup services, and then there's all these tabs across the top here. We no longer have note palettes or notes, we just have a note text field for services. That was the most commonly used one. We do have everything else except sequence. In STX Cloud it's no longer a sequence, it's going to show, actually let me show you. When you go to select a service, so if I click on here and type in a client name and I click this drop down, sometimes it does take a second to load, so please be patient. It'll show by service group and then alphabetically it will list. Okay? All right, so in STX Cloud you're going to go to setup service. You'll notice here we have setup service groups, just like we have groups here. We have resources, just like we have here, setup service, just like we have here. These are going to operate very similar. The setup service groups, what's nice about these is you can assign a color to your service groups so that the service will be filled in with that color for all treatments or color services. And then at a glance, you can look at your appointment book and know what you have coming up. Setup resources, again, very similar. You just put in the name of the resource and how many you have, click save, and then that'll come up later. So in setup services, this is the main bread and butter. So some things to be aware of. So if I come in here and I say all over color, and then under service group, I select hair. I note whether or not it's taxable and if it uses multiple price levels. In STX Desktop, you were limited to 8 price levels. In this software, you can do up to 10. If the service is add-on, like it's a zero duration service, you would check this button and it's going to not let you type in a duration. This is great for things like adding color, where like there's really not time that it takes, it's just money, and it should be rung up as a service. Okay, we'll leave that empty for now. So I can come in here and I can say, okay, my level 1, just like desktop, maybe my level 1 charges 150 and they just take a straight 90 minutes. Maybe my level 2, they charge 175, but they actually do theirs a little different. 30 minutes to apply the color, so they're not available. We don't want to check that box. That's going to be the opposite of desktop. And then 30 minutes to process. During that time, if you want to be available for like a men's haircut or a bang trim, you select that checkbox. And then duration number 3, to finish the look, I can make it 30 or blank. The buffer after, this is going to be for like cleaning up. A lot of people use this for like massage or body services because you do have to flip over the room. The great thing about buffer after is it allows the client to go on and get like a manicure or pedicure once duration 3 is over, but it keeps the worker booked off so that they can clean up and flip the room over. And then this is where you put your service fee, and it can be a % or a dollar amount. And then if you need to add more levels, you click here, or to remove them, click the X. Down here, these are some more advanced customizations. We'll come back to these at the end of the video. Let's try to keep it simple. So these are some of the really basic things that we do in the software. And then of course, when you're done, you'll want to hit save. It doesn't like it because it's the name is a duplicate. Okay, so to assign this to a worker, I go to setup workers, worker detail, and I click the services tab. And then I use these little drop-down guys, and I can say all over color A was the name of the service. So I can select it here. That means he provides it in store or can be booked in store. And then this is if it can be booked online. If there needs to be any customization to this, like maybe he's a level 1 all the way around, but maybe he does things just a little differently. I can click this edit and I can adjust the price. So he normally charges $150. But actually Michael M, even though he's a level 1, he does 155 and he does 90 minutes, but he also likes like a 15-minute flip over to put in his notes and reset his chair and wipe things down. He's a little particular about those things. He needs that 15 minutes. I just go ahead and click save. And now when somebody books for Michael, it's going to book that time, that duration, and that price. And then of course we want to hit save. So that's how those can be customized. We do not have the option for assistance in this software. That's something we're working towards. It's just not available yet today. And then let's go back to that setup service. So that's the gist of setting up a service. And then let me show you under appointments. If I go to Michael's column and I type in Carol, I can select that Carol is going to come in for the all over color A, like we booked, and click save, and it will go ahead and book him off. Okay. All right, so some of the more advanced features, let me show you those. So if I go to setup service, setup services, let's talk about some of these more advanced items. So I'm going to go ahead and select color. We'll do balayage. So let's say when somebody books this appointment, they the first advanced option is this required post-service options. So what this would do is anytime somebody books this appointment, maybe you require them to select whether they're getting a haircut or a blow dry. Many salons like to keep their haircuts and blow dries separately because they do report on how much of that happens, and they want it to get tracked separately from their color services. Also, a lot of salons today are going departmentalized. So this would be a great way to say when somebody books this appointment, they also have to choose a blow dry or a haircut. So let's see here, women haircut, or maybe a women's long haircut. So you select hair, women's long haircut. And then what would happen is you can say that this is required in-store or online. And then in-store, if one of your staff members tried to book this service without it, it's going to warn them and not let them move forward. If it's online, it's going to automatically display those options. And then this is the guest charge. So the guest charge is actually deducted from the service price in the worker report. So if your service was $100 and you had a guest charge of $10 on the worker report, it's just going to show that they did $90. This is really an uncommonly used item. This is really great for like hotels that have a flat rate on services performed, or maybe like some people sometimes use it as like a COVID fee, but that will eventually hopefully be out of date. But yeah, there's reasons why people would want to use this, but most of the time you will not. If you really have a lot of questions, just give us a call. It's very similar to a service fee. It just doesn't show up is probably the best way to describe it. Online name. So if in-store, we call this balayage, and online we wanted to say it's subtle highlights, which may be less fancy. You could put it down here like subtle highlights to make your overall color glow. And then that will appear when the person goes to book it online. It would appear in the description. If you leave it blank, it'll just be blank. A deposit required. This is for online booking only. And I can say an amount. So maybe it's $10 to book it online, or I can say it's 20% of whatever the service price is to book this online. Last but not least is resources used, and I can use any or all. So this is a slight update to the STX Cloud. So I can say any resources required. So I could say in order to book this, I either need a pedicure chair, and I can do priority 1, or I need a yoga room. And I apologize, these examples aren't great. But you get the gist. So what it would do is say, okay, if I want to book this service, I just need one of these available. Not all of them, just one of them. Now, alternatively, you could select all. So maybe in order to do this service, you need a pedicure chair and you need a yoga room. Maybe there's some kind of combination. It's like a pedi yoga service we're doing. So you need both these things available. This would be a great example for this is I not only need a spa room, but I also need a facial treatment. Maybe it's like a mobile thing that moves around and does the steam. So you can make sure that you have the resources available. And then of course, once you're done selecting all your preferences, you just go ahead and click save. All right, thank you for watching. Have a great day.